Hi, guys. Welcome to the Spirit Guide Show. I hope you're doing well. I hope you can see me and hear me. Let me know as always. And while you're at it, also share with anyone who would like to watch the show with you. Do you know anyone who would like to know their spirit guide's name? If so, then click the share button. It's up here somewhere in the white menu if you're on your laptop, and just invite anyone who might be interested. All right, so you guys can hear me. Awesome. Thanks, Jenny. Thanks, Samantha, Tanya. Awesome. If you are watching this on YouTube or on Facebook, then find the link in the description either above or below and come on over here to Crowdcast, because only here can I do a mini reading for you and answer your questions. Also, if you have any tech issues here on Crowdcast, then just reload your page, refresh your screen. That usually solves the problem. So if you can't hear me, can't see me, and no one else seems to have the problem, then just reload your page. Like I said, that usually solves the problem. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Yamile Yemoonyah, and I'm a spirit guide medium, which means that I can sense other people's spirit guides around them and give you messages from your guides. And I'm also a Hay House author. And my book is called The 7 Types of Spirit Guide, and you can see it here. This is what it looks like. It's very used already. But this is what it looks like. And you can order it on Amazon, on Booktopia, on Waterstones, everywhere where they sell books, basically, in any country around the world. Just go to your local Amazon or another online bookstore or offline bookstore and order it there. And so you can also go to my website and order it here. And I just put that in the chat in case you're interested. And if you read my book already, I would be super, super grateful. And I know many of you have done this already. If you could leave me review on Amazon. And thank you for everyone who's done this already. If you haven't yet, it would be great if you could leave like a written or even a video review on Amazon, because these are ranked much higher than just giving me like the stars, like 4 or 5 stars or whatever you gave me. And written and video reviews would be amazing, because this will help me get the book into the hands of more people like us who need this kind of information. So thank you so much for doing that. Nadine says she has my book in her cart. Go get it. Beth says, I love your book. Oh, thank you. AJ says the same. Thank you. Oh, thank you guys. You've all read the book. Olivia, Sarah, Sherry, Maria. Oh, thank you guys. Suki says she will leave me a review. Thank you so much. Tasha says it is my Spirit Guide Bible reference. Thank you. And Agata is waiting for it to arrive. And Sudeep heard it on Audible. Yes, there's definitely also the audiobook version that you can also listen to. And here's one tip. If you have the Hay House app, I forget what it's called, but it's basically, they have an app that you pay for monthly. I forget what the fee is, but then you can listen to all of their books. You just pay like once a month. I don't know what it is, maybe $10. Then you can listen to all of it. So then you can listen to my book and 1,000 others. And also there's a talk on the Hay House app. Actually, it's a workshop, a 1-hour workshop where I teach how to connect with your guides, and you can listen to that for free as well if you're on the Hay House app. So look out for that if that's something you're interested in. All right, so on this episode of the Spirit Guide Show, we will be talking about how to find your spirit guide's name. And by the end of the show, you will know why knowing your spirit guide's name is important, why knowing your spirit guide's name is not important, how to find your spirit guide's name, and what to do if you have a hard time finding their name. And then the second part of the show, we're going to do mini readings, and then I'll also answer some questions. So before we get started, I wanted to remind you about a workshop I'm teaching next Wednesday on May 26th. So that's this next Wednesday. It will be a 1.5-hour workshop on how to develop your intuition and psychic abilities with the help of your spirit guides. And yes, we all have intuitive and psychic abilities, every single one of you. Just like we can all dance and sing, we all have psychic senses that can be developed. Not everyone's going to be a professional medium, and that's totally fine. Not everyone's going to be a professional dancer or singer, but we can all dance, sing, and connect with our guides and develop our intuition and psychic abilities, and even our mediumship abilities. These skills can help us to make better decisions, become clear about our purpose, and enjoy better relationships. If this is something you're interested in, you can read more about the workshop and get tickets here. And I'll put it in the chat. It's part of the Mind, Body, Spirit Festival. It's online, so don't worry, you don't have to come to London. It's online. It's just 16 pounds. That's around 23 US dollars. And yes, there will be a recording if you can't make it live. So if you're in Australia and you're sleeping at that time, don't worry, get your ticket. You can watch the recording. And it will be a workshop, but it still works if you watch the recording. So don't worry about that. All right, so let's get into today's topic. And remember, if you are on YouTube or Facebook, come on over here to Crowdcast. The link is in the description, either above or below. Click the link, come on over here, because only here can I do readings for you and answer your questions. All right, so Beryl is excited about the app. Awesome. I love the app. I listen to lots of books there. Yes, that's it. Thanks, Elizabeth. It's the Hay House audio app. That's what it's called. Let's see. Oops. Suzanne says she signed up for the workshop. Awesome. Can't wait to see you there. Nadine is very interested, and the timing is spot on. Perfect. Daniel booked his ticket already. Awesome. Jenny had a reading with me and forgot to ask her guide's name. Well, now you can find out. So this is perfect timing as well. Elle says you can't see me. Reload the page. It's probably, I don't think anyone else has that problem. So it's probably on your end. So just reload the page, refresh your screen. That should probably help. Nadine says, I'd love to come to London. Well, you can, but this workshop is not in London. It's online, so you can join from anywhere around the world. Maria's got her ticket already. Awesome. Perfect. All right, perfect. So why do we want to know our spirit guide's name? So the number one question I get asked as a spirit guide medium is, what is my spirit guide's name? And that's a super valid question, because as humans, we are used to call each other by name, right? Like when I talk to you, I say, Maria signed up for the workshop. And so then everyone knows who I'm talking about. So we naturally assume that our guides have names too, because that's what we're used to, right? And that it's important to know their name. Again, we are used to, like when I talk to someone, I say, hey, Maria, what's up? How are you today? And if we didn't have names, it would be harder for us to communicate with each other. And so it's the first question we ask when we meet someone new, for example. And it's an important first step in building a relationship with each other. However, and this is important, the spirit world works a bit differently. Spirit beings don't live in our physical 3D world. They don't actually need a name. And they definitely, well, most don't actually have one. Most spirit guides do not have a human name. Just like every other being, including you, they emit an energy frequency or vibration that humans and other conscious entities can perceive and recognize. This energy frequency serves as their name and their means to identify each other and us as well. Similar to how dogs recognize each other by smell rather than name. They don't need names. They don't give each other names, but they still recognize each other, right? So they do that by smell. And we humans also recognize each other by our energy frequency. We just mostly do it on a subconscious level. So have you ever heard the phone ring and knew who it is without looking at it? So the phone rings and you're like, oh, I know this is Maria calling me. Has that ever happened to you? Or even you knew it before the phone rang. You know who is calling you because their spirit has reached out to you before they ever dialed your number. And you recognize their vibration. That's why you know who's calling. Or have you ever felt like you've known someone forever, even if you just met them? Again, that's because you recognize their vibration. You might have known them in a past life. And so, of course, you would recognize their vibration and their energy frequency. And you don't need to know their name to recognize them. They might have had a completely different name in a past life than they have now, but still you know, oh God, I know this person. And we are mostly unaware of this ability, like of recognizing someone's energy. And it only happens subconsciously because our society does not believe in intuition and psychic abilities. If you go to, let's say, a normal person, opposed to us crazies who believe in intuition and psychic abilities and all that, they will tell you, no, this is all like BS and don't believe in that. So, and because of that, because we live in a society that doesn't believe in this, all of this happens subconsciously, just like our heart pumps blood around our body without us consciously contributing to it. It just happens. And what I'm trying to say is like, we don't need to know our spirit guide's name to connect with them. We can and do recognize them by their energy signature. And for those of you who have done a workshop with me before, you know that like one of the main thing that I teach is to, first of all, know your own energy. And then because you know your own energy, you are able to feel another being's energy come close to you and recognize another being's energy. And we are not used to feel our own energy. And so we have to learn how to do that. And we have to learn what our energy feels like and what it feels like if another being enters our space. So the best way to learn to recognize and communicate with your guides is to develop your intuitive and psychic senses so that you can recognize when another being is coming close, so that you can recognize your spirit guide's vibration and energy frequency. And once like your intuitive and psychic senses are awakened, you will feel when they are around. And you won't need to know their name or what they look like. So let's get back to your spirit guide's name. Didn't I just say we don't need to know their names? Yes, that's what I said. But our guides know that we as humans have a much easier time if we can address them by a name, because that's what we're used to. So they are happy to give us a name we can use to communicate with them. But the name might also not necessarily, and this is important to note, might not always necessarily conform to any expectations you might have. So they might not have a human name, but maybe it might be a name of a plant, a color, an object. I know someone whose spirit guide is called Star, like the stars. That spirit guide doesn't have no human name. That's just Star. That's it. Or it might be really like a really ordinary, silly, or weird name. So have an open mind about your spirit guide's name. And so the easiest way to find your guide's name, ask them. Yep, it's as easy as lighting a candle, quieting your mind with like 15 minutes of meditation, and then simply ask your guide for their name. You do not have to know anything else about them to do so. You do not have to know what they look like. You don't have to know who they are. You can just ask, and you simply set the intention to speak to your guide and then do it. Don't overthink it. It doesn't matter if you talk to them in your mind or out loud, although I would recognize sometimes I say like do it out loud because it makes it more real for us. They can hear your thoughts if you direct your thoughts towards them. But for us as humans, again, we are humans, so we have certain expectations. And if we say something out loud, it makes it more real for us. That's why it's a good idea to say it out loud. It also doesn't matter what color like your candle has, or if you meditate for 15 or 20 minutes. Do what feels right for you and what makes sense to you. The hard part is to accept the answer you get. So it is probably not going to come as a booming voice from heaven from outside of you. So don't even expect that. It's probably going to be more like a quiet whisper from the back of your own mind. And it can be so quiet that you might not be sure if you are making it up. Or maybe it will come more as like an image of your childhood friend, Anne. So maybe you're sitting there, you meditated, you ask, what's my spirit guide's name? And then suddenly you see like a flash of an image of your childhood friend, Anne. And then you dismiss it right away because it's just your memory. And you think it's kind of like junk mail. Like you have that flash and you think, well, I asked a question, I didn't get the answer that the way that I think I need to get it, and you dismiss it. But if you get like this, you ask the question and suddenly you see your childhood friend, her name is Anne, see that as an answer. Your spirit guide's name might be Anne. That's why you have that memory. It's not like you coming up with that memory. It's your guide showing you that memory, and it's the answer to the question. Or maybe you suddenly smell violets, even though there are none around. And you make an appointment with the doctor because you think you're going crazy. But in reality, you smell, your guide sends you that smell because their name is Violet. So this is really about like trusting what comes through. And the most important part of asking your guides for their name is to, like I said, trust what comes through. Do not dismiss anything you see, hear, feel, smell, taste, or just know. Treat everything that happens when you are in that space of communicating with your guide as an answer. Because you opened that space, you are in communication with your guide, even if you don't believe that you can really do it. You opened that space, you are communicating with your guide. So anything that comes through, at least think about like, okay, I just saw this childhood friend, I just had this smell. Could this be like an indicator of the name? So do not dismiss anything right away. It's all part of the message. So the biggest secret when it comes to spirit guide communication is that it's actually really easy to speak to them. It's just that we have certain expectations of how it should work, and we automatically dismiss anything that does not fit in these parameters. That's exactly why I recommend developing your intuitive and psychic abilities. It will slowly get you used to access and trust and rely on those easy to miss guiding messages from your cosmic helpers. And so now what do you do if you sat down, you meditated, you asked for the name, and you really still don't know? Maybe you just missed like the message. Maybe you don't believe the message because it wasn't in a way that you thought it would come. Well, here's what you do. You make up a name that you like. You just make it up. You use your imagination. You say, I like the name April. I'm going to call my spirit guide April. And that's totally fine. They don't mind. Like I said, most of them don't have human names. So basically, they give you a name for you so you can easily communicate with them for your convenience. So they don't mind if you make up a name for them. Whatever helps facilitate a conversation is fine with them. So just come up with your own name. And actually, you would be surprised because you might think, oh, I just came up with April because I like it. But maybe that's exactly, again, that's the way for them to give you the name. Maybe that's the name they want you to use, and you think you're just making it up. It's something that I learned from Doreen Virtue back in the day. I took her angel, I forget what it's called, angel communication course or something, angel therapy, I think. And she had people sit down and based in pairs, like so, two people, and then said, look at the person across from you, and just make something up. What's their story? Just really use your imagination, make it up. And then people would do that and would be very, very surprised how accurate their imagination was, because imagination is not always imagination. And you will learn over time when you practice, like, to really see the difference. But it's totally fine to use your imagination. It's totally fine. Your guides can work with that. So yeah, that's how you can find your spirit guide's name. Let me see if there's anything in the chat that you guys said that's, let's see. Tasha says she's learning to listen to her intuition. Awesome. Well done. Nadine says, ask how simple. Yes. The thing is, like, our guides are like our friends. So you basically want to build a relationship with your guides just like you would build a relationship with a human being. You just ask. You just sit down with them and you tell them about your life. And the more you do that, even if you feel silly and think you're making it up, the more you do that, the more you open the doors. The more you open the doors, your own like spiritual, psychic, intuitive doors, and it makes it easier for them to give you replies. And the more you open the doors in the sense like that you trust yourself. So just go for it. When you're at home by yourself, you don't have to tell anyone that you're doing this. Just talk to them as if you had an invisible friend. Okay, I'm still reading the comments. AJ says, I once had a distinct pressure on my right shoulder once, still no idea what it means. It could mean that your spirit guide saying hello. Spirit guides have like all kinds of ways to say, to show you that you're around. That's what I'm saying. Like when you learn to feel your own energy and your own space, and you learn how to cleanse your space, I think, the more you will also learn what it feels like when another entity, be it human or otherwise, comes into that space. You will feel the difference, and that difference can be felt by you in various ways. So as humans, we translate energy frequency into things like feeling really hot. Like our body translates that feeling or that energy into physical feeling. So you could get really hot, you could get really cold, you could start sneezing. You could feel like a hand on your shoulder. You could feel like as if someone is like touching your face. You could feel like you're suddenly taller or like bigger or smaller, or everyone is different because every body is different. But it probably just means that your spirit guide is saying hello. That's it. And also sometimes we try to over-interpret things. We ask ourselves, what does this mean? What does this mean? But sometimes it's just what it is. Sometimes if you feel like a hand on your shoulder, that's what it is. It's a hand on your shoulder. It's your spirit guide's hand on your shoulder. There's no other meaning to it. It's just kind of like obvious in that sense. So first ask yourself, okay, if I feel a hand on my shoulder, what does that mean? I have a hand on my shoulder. Whose hand is it? Well, there's no one around, so it must be like some spirit. And then you can ask, hey, are you my spirit guide? And then if you feel it again, then it's probably, hey, yes, it's me. It's your spirit guide. So it's very simple in that sense. Exactly. Maria says, AJ, that might have been your spirit guide's calling card. Exactly. All right, still reading the... and then, oops. I just saw a comment that I wanted to read out, but then I lost it. Ah, too bad. Where is it? Right here. Maria says, when I'm wanting their name, I have gotten the first letter first. Then I sit with the letter, relax into it as if I'm listening, and the name will then come. Yes, that can also happen. You get it like piece by piece. And this is also true for like the identity of your spirit guides in general. You might start out with just seeing a color. Maybe you see yellow, and that's it. And then maybe 3 weeks later or 3 months later, you suddenly see that the yellow is actually, for example, a piece of clothing. And so you see, oh, it's a piece of clothing. And then again, 3 months later, you see that it's like a sleeve, and you see a hand. And you see that that hand has a certain skin color. And so that's more information. And then again, 3 months later, you might see like 2 hands. And maybe they're holding something. Maybe they're holding something that is of African origin. So you know, okay, this my spirit guide has dark skin, holds something of African origin. So maybe when they were alive, if it was like a spirit guide that was once in human form, that they might have lived in Africa. And so it goes like piece by piece by piece by piece. It's very seldom that like you sit down and you want to know about your spirit guides and you get the whole story. It's very seldom that they come up and say, well, my name is Anne and I lived in Greenland in 1600. Were there even people there in 1600? I don't know, but I'm just making this up. I lived in 1600 and I died of being eaten by a polar bear. That it usually doesn't work this way. It's like piece by piece by piece. And so you have to, practice, practice, practice. And over time, you build a relationship. Like I said, just like with humans, if you meet someone for the first time, you don't sit down and tell them your entire life story and everything about you. You build that relationship slowly. And it's the same with your guides. Tasha says this is a confirmation session for me. Glad to hear it. Awesome. Beth asks, how many spirit guides do we have? A team, everyone's different, but at least 3 usually. Kenny says, I know a guide of mine definitely has a spicy attitude. Definitely can be true. A lot of them are very funny. They have a great way of making people laugh sometimes. Kirsty says, my dad's relatives have been coming to me in my dreams all this week. Awesome. All right, so what we're gonna do now, because I can read through it. Oh, we actually have an April on here. Sorry for using your name. April says, if your guide is, say, a deity and you're not familiar with deities, how do you go about determining who it is? How do you know where to begin? Same thing. You sit down, you start meditating on a regular basis. You do like the kind of meditation that I teach that's in the book as a whole ceremony, but you can also do the pared down version without like the whole ceremonial stuff around it. But if you do this for the first time, it is a good idea to do it as a like full on ceremony, because the more energy you invest into this, the more you will get back, especially if it's the first time. Over time, you can like in between like pare it down and just do like a 15-minute version of it. And you just keep doing that until you get more and more information. Like I said, it will show, like they show themselves over time and will give you more information over time. Anna says, is it common to always feel them on the same side? I always feel mine is on the left. Yes, that's very common. And then maybe another of your guides comes from the right, and that's how you can distinguish them. A lot of mediums, classic mediums in a sense, like they communicate with the dead and give you messages from the dead. Some of them, for example, will know like if it's on your mom's side or your dad's side by on which side they appear. So if the spirit appears on the left, it's like they know, okay, this is like on your mom's side. Or if the spirit appears on the right, then they know, oh, okay, this is on your dad's side, someone. And then sometimes they have a whole system. For example, if like the spirit seems to appear on the left, on like shoulder height, then they know, okay, this is like on your mom's side, and it's like the spirit was the same age as you are. If the spirit is further up, like above the head on the left, then it means like this is like on your mom's side, 2 generations higher, so your grandmother. And so take note of these things, all of these little things, because they are often highly symbolic, and over time you will learn what it means. So for example, it could mean, and I'm not saying that it does, but it could mean that if your spirit guide always appears on the left, that it's a like female spirit guide. Not saying that is always true. None of this is true for everyone, by the way, because your spirit guides and you have a unique relationship. So the symbols they use can be very unique. If this like happens for Anna, doesn't mean that it's the same for anyone else. So it's really about like over time you will learn these things. And I use this one example. I told you guys this a lot already, but for example, when I do readings and an angel shows up and the angel wants to talk about my client's like work life, especially if it's about like either starting their own business, the angel will show up in a business suit. And then I know, okay, this is what they want to talk about, work. And this is about either the client already has their own business or is in the process of building their own business, or at least it's a dream of theirs. And so I've never heard anyone else getting this specific symbol. I developed that with my spirit guides that show me these kinds of things. And so the same is true for you. Tasha says, how do I talk to my ego? Same thing. It's the same thing for all of them. There's no difference. Sit down, quiet your mind, meditate, create a sacred space. And I don't have the time to explain all of it. Come to one of my workshops, and you will learn how to do this. All right, so we need to move on a little bit. It's already really late. Actually, maybe we're just going to do questions today because I do have a little bit of a headache. Yeah, let's do that. Let's just do questions. And then I'll do readings again next week. All right, so let me see what other questions were there. Sudeep says, not sure if I've talked to my spirit guides, but I do have conversations with myself. These could be spirit guides. Yeah, they could be. Oftentimes people will speak to their spirit guides and not even realize it because they basically think they're talking to themselves. Definitely. Doesn't mean that every conversation you have with yourself is necessarily your spirit guides, but can be, definitely. Daisy says, I'm new here. I know my guides are with me, but why don't they answer me? They only speak to me when they want. There's all kinds of reasons. Just like there are all kinds of reasons why your friend might not pick up the phone when you call them. Maybe they're busy. Maybe they don't feel like talking to you right now. And so like the same goes for spirit guides. Your spirit guide is not like your servant in the sense that they always have to like answer all of your questions or give you all the information you want. You can ask a million times for like the lottery numbers. You're probably not going to get it. And this is just a silly example. But also the main reason why they might not be answering is two. One, they are, and you just don't notice it. That's what we talked about earlier. You just dismiss the answer because you think you're just making it up, or it's not coming in the form of how you think it could come. It should come. And then the second reason is that sometimes, or actually two more reasons. One is we are asking the wrong questions. And I have a silly example for this as well. Maybe you want to know, should I get married to Harry or Barry? And your guide is like, you're not going to get married to any of them. I don't even want to talk about that. So let's talk about your job, for example. And so then you keep getting like messages, symbols, dreams, etc. about your job, and you dismiss them because you don't want to talk about your job. You want to talk about Harry or Barry. And so you kind of like miss the message. And then the third reason why they might not answer, or you think they're not answering, is because they don't want to, you ask a question that they can't answer because then they would take away the experience that you're going through, and the experience is important. Is there an example? Let's say you're grieving for your, no, that's not a good example. I can't come up with an example right now, but basically, yeah, if there is something that is important for you to experience, they can't take that away. They can't give you the answer. Oh, yeah. One question that I get a lot, for example, is from people who are kind of like in a transformational phase when it comes to their work, and they're not sure where they want to go work-wise and purpose-wise. And so then that's a question I get a lot. And then the answer is oftentimes I can't give you the full answer because then that would take away like the whole journey, like the human journey that will take you to what your purpose is, or the next step on the journey of fulfilling your purpose. And so they can't give you the answer. So that might be another reason. I hope that made sense. And Nadine says, imagine how perfect that would be if they just came out and said it straight. Yeah, but then we would miss a lot of like our own experiences. And the thing also is like, we have free will and they can't take away our free will. And we have to be responsible for our own lives. They can't make decisions for us. They can't take responsibility for us. And so sometimes we just have to like find our own way through a situation. We have to make our own decisions. And so they can't help us with some things because we just have to like do it on our own. And Sean says, when I'm sitting alone watching, this is a funny one, sitting alone watching TV, it always feels as if my leg or foot is being pulled. What is that? Could be your spirit guide, definitely. Like I said, it's different for everyone. Like that could be your spirit guide sign of saying, hey, I'm here. Maybe turn off the TV, meditate, and try to connect with me. So try that, see what happens. And then she says, granted, that might mean something nefarious. I don't know. As long as they don't actually pull your leg in the sense that it hurts you, I don't think it's anything nefarious. Why would it be? Wendy says she enjoyed the ceremony. Awesome. Glad to hear it. Sarah says, for deities, I research more about the culture it originates from and find out what specifically the deity is attracted to. For example, Aphrodite with roses, peacock feather, etc. Yes, if you know who your deity is or have an inkling, for example, I think my deity is from like the Greek pantheon, for example, then do some research. Go online, see what kind of like gods and goddesses the Greeks had, and when you do the research, do you feel like pulled towards one specific one? Do you really feel like connected to Aphrodite or one of the others? And if that in itself is a sign, if you feel and that's true for all the others too, if you feel, I really think my spirit guide is a nature spirit because I love nature and I'm always careful to like not dump my trash there, and maybe you even have a job that has to do with like environmental protection, then it's very likely that you're right, that your spirit guide is a nature spirit. So listen to your own intuition, because your intuition tells you exactly where to go and what's real and what's not. So listen to yourself. That's the main thing before anything else, before reading any books or listening to anyone, including me. Your intuition is the best guide you have. Let's see. Pingo says, since taking your workshop, my spirit guide seems to be extremely happy. She's a deity, and till date, she has been guiding me to learn some meditation techniques. Within 2 weeks of your exercise techniques combined with deity-related meditation, my energy has profoundly expanded. Now I feel her calling card most times, especially when I'm sitting idle. I take it as her message to connect with her, but I'm not able to interpret her messages. That's okay, that will come. And that's probably why she wants you to sit and meditate with her, because the more you do like this, and this is a very specific meditation slash exercise and that I teach, the more you do that, the more the stronger the connection becomes, and the more information you will get, and the more you will understand how to interpret her messages and all that. Like I said earlier, it comes bit by bit by bit. So just have patience, keep going, and you're doing really great. So awesome. Good for you. Daisy says, my guides are with me. One leaves me messages and feathers. The other is the one who gives me my gifts, but he's very hard to communicate with. How can I get him to open up? He's very reserved. Same thing. Keep trying. It's just like, let's say you have a friend who's more on the shy side. It just takes a little bit longer to get to know them, and that's fine. Just have patience and just don't give up and keep practicing. And I say this again and again and again. Spirit guide communication is a skill. You have to practice. You can't expect to do it once and then get all the information you want. You need to like keep practicing. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. I hope I don't butcher it. Lasya says, what is the difference between ascended masters and spirit guides? So in my definition, let me share my definition of spirit guide. So my definition is that any kind of being from the higher realms that is connected to us in unconditional love and helps us on our spiritual path and in day-to-day life is a spirit guide. And so for me, ascended masters are one type of spirit guide. So our angels is another type of spirit guide. Nature spirits is another type of spirit guide. Animal guides is another type. Deities is another type. And I'm forgetting some. There are two more. Star beings / aliens can be your spirit guide. And I'm forgetting one. If anyone knows the seventh one, let me know. Even though I wrote a whole book about it, I always forget one. I don't know why. It's driving me nuts. Actually, let me see which one I forgot. So deities, ancestors, of course. So deities, ancestors, ascended masters, nature spirits, animal guides, star beings, and angels are the 7 types of spirit guides. Yes, and all that is in the book. That's why it's called the 7 types of spirit guide. And I describe them, and there's a chapter on each one. So there's also a whole chapter on like ascended masters, and then I explain like how to communicate with them and all that. Daisy has a question. My guides are with me. One leaves me messages, and we already had that one. Xander says, or Zander, are you Dutch? I found out my deity through meditation with music, listening to Australian sounds, saw my deity guide, and with goddess cards, I had just got asking my first question and wondering about my deity got a jumper, and it was what I saw. And she is a goddess from Dreamtime. Awesome. There you go. Yeah, you can also use other tools like I never did that before, but you can definitely use tarot cards and all kinds of other I Ching, whatever, runes, whatever, you can use them to communicate with your guides as well. But I do definitely recommend that you also learn the direct method without help, because it will really strengthen your belief in your own and trust in yourself once you do that. Sarah has a good question. What is the difference between praying to an angel or worshiping one? And this is true for any kind of like spirit guide. So this is something I learned from Kyle Gray, who's like an angel expert. He's also a Hay House author. And by the way, I'm going to interview him about his new book soon-ish. I'll let you guys know. But anyway, so the difference between praying and worshiping. So worshiping is like, in my opinion, when you make yourself small and you put like your spirit guide above you. So you come from a place of like, worshiping in the sense of like, I don't know how to explain this. You're making yourself small and you're making your guide bigger. You're giving your guide more power than yourself. And so that's something I don't do, because I don't think that our guides are above us. We're different, but we're on the same level. We are just as amazing as our spirit guides, just in a different way. And so praying, and this is what I learned from Kyle Gray. When I pray, I don't pray in the sense of like, please, dear angel or spirit guide, I want a Ferrari and win 1 million in the lottery. Please, please, please. I don't do that. What I do, first of all, I wouldn't ask for that anyway. But what I do is like, I thank my spirit guides. So I say something like, thank you, angels, for helping me to trust myself more. And so I come from a place of like, thank you, from a place of like abundance, in the sense I trust that this is going to happen and they are going to help me and guide me with what I want, like trusting myself more, instead of saying, please, 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 can you help me? Because then you come from a place of lack and mistrust. And then again, you put yourself down while you put like your spirit guide up, and you don't believe in your own power. You give your power away. And so that's the difference. So you don't say, please, please, please. You don't make yourself small. No, you talk to them as if they're your friend, and you say, thank you for helping me achieve my goals. And so that comes from a very different place. That's the difference how I would explain it. AJ wants to know, is it better to ask closed or open questions? In the beginning, it's much easier to ask yes and no questions. And then, so when you know they're your spirit guide's calling card, like someone had like the hand on their shoulder, or someone else knows, like when my spirit guide is around, I get really hot, or someone else like gets their leg pulled a little bit. Once you figure out, oh, this is my spirit guide's calling card, then you can start asking yes and no questions. And you can tell your guide, listen, I have this question. And if the answer is yes, show me your like calling card. So then you feel the hand on your shoulder, or you get really hot or really cold or whatever it is. And if the answer is no, then don't give me the calling card. And so then you can start, or you can turn it around. You say, if like the answer is yes, then don't show me your calling card. Or but if the answer is no, show it to me. Play with it a little bit. And also don't ask important questions in the beginning. Just like if you made a new friend, you wouldn't ask them very intimate questions. You start like slowly. And especially with spirit guides, because we don't learn to trust our own intuition, to not ask right away, what is my life's purpose? Should I have another child? Should I stay with this person? Should I get married to Harry or Barry? There's way too much like behind these questions. Ask simple, really questions that have no consequence for your life. Ask them, should I wear the blue dress tonight? Yes or no? Because then you're practicing, you're still practicing. And so don't put too much pressure on yourself. Ask simple questions, just to experiment, and keep asking simple questions for a while before you start asking like really complicated questions that are really important to you. And then over time, you can like ramp it up a little bit, and only over time start asking open-ended questions. Take it like any other skill. Like I say, again and again and again, you need to start practicing. When you start playing the piano, you don't start playing Beethoven's Fifth right away. You start playing like simple melodies for kids, or you just start with one finger, like cling, 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 and it might sound horrible, but that's how you start, right? So don't try to be like the perfectionist. Yes, expectations. Exactly, Rosalind. Keep your expectations in check. That's the most important thing with all of this. And I don't know if you said it in this context, but yes, expectations. Thanks, Erica. I do know that they are, but they are, huh? But why are they called ascended masters if they have similar purpose of that of spirit guides? That's what I meant with my question. Well, spirit guides is like the overall category, let's say, because there are all kinds of spirit out there. They're not all spirit guides. There are spirits that just do their own thing, have nothing to do with us humans. And so spirit guides are the one that want to help us on our spiritual path. They guide us on our spiritual path. They guide our spirit. That's why they're called spirit guides. And under that umbrella term, we have different ones, like we said earlier. And ascended masters is one specific one. And ascended masters are spirits that have once been humans here on earth, but they reached enlightenment, what we call enlightenment. And so they don't have to reincarnate anymore here on the planet. And that's like, and so they're on the other side, but they're very much involved with human evolution, and especially, yeah, spiritual evolution in the sense of like reaching enlightenment. And that's their specialty. And that's the difference. Tasha says, can we answer Sarah's question? I don't know what Sarah's question was. Sorry. You just have to type in the question again. I can't like go back all the way and find the question. Yeah, I'll check the Q&A in a sec, Rosalind. And I can't answer all the questions. I'm just going through and just randomly picking some. Oh, this is an interesting one. Ashley says, I would love more clarity about spirit guide genders. I was under the impression that gender wasn't exactly a thing on the other side, for lack of a better word. I'm just curious to learn more about how and why guides come through with a specific gender. It's the same as with names. So a lot of spirit guides don't have an actual human name. Why would they? They don't need it, but they give us a name so that it's easier for us. And a lot of spirit guides obviously don't have a like 3D body, but they still show themselves as a human, for example. For example, angels usually show themselves in a human form. It's not like and with wings, it's not like they actually fly around looking at humans with their wings around the universe, right? It's just like they show themselves in that way to us because it's easier for us to even comprehend who we're talking to. And the same is true with gender. No, they don't have gender in that sense. But again, they give us like an impression so that it's easier for us to relate. That's the only reason. Nadine says, do you have any guided meditations? You do? Yes, so that's why I teach the workshops. Come to a workshop and that's exactly what I teach. You can also read the book. There's the ceremony in there that exactly explains how to connect with your guide. And again, the book is called The 7 Types of Spirit Guide. You can find it on Amazon, every single Amazon out there. So Amazon France, Amazon Canada. Is there one? I don't know. Amazon US, Amazon UK, all of them. And of course, like any other kind of like online bookstore. And if you want to go into like a physical bookstore and order it, you can do that too. Agata says, my right thumb is always feeling held when I'm resting on the couch after a long day or trying to concentrate on a work email, and definitely when I meditate. I'm for sure it must be my main spirit guide. The others squeeze my left hand fingertips, maybe a different spirit. Yep, totally possible. Every guide has a different calling card. So one could like feel like someone's like touching your face. Another one could feel more like holding your finger, and another one could feel more like you're getting really hot. Alice asks, what's this calling card? It basically is like their sign of saying, hey, I'm here. Similar to if your friend comes around and rings the doorbell, then you know, oh, my friend is here. Similar. Same thing. So they don't ring the doorbell. They will make you feel really hot, really cold, all kinds of different ways that we talked about earlier. That's a calling card. It's basically, hello, I'm here, I want to talk to you, or just hang out with you. Yes, Tasha, got it. Practice, exactly. I'm still reading the comments. Juan asks, can your higher self be your spirit guide? No, it's a different thing. Your spirit guide is not you. Your spirit guide is an entity that's independent from you. And your higher self is basically the part of you that's not incarnated. So it's part of you. Your higher self is you, the part of you that's not incarnated. Same, I don't know how to pronounce your name, but your question is, what about our own Christ selves acting as guides? Same thing. Your Christ self is yourself. It's in the name. It's you. So it's not your guide. Your guide is a different thing. That doesn't mean that your higher self or your Christ self can't guide you, but that's like you guiding yourself. Lasya asks, can one have an intergalactic guide, meaning that they are starseed? They can be a star being, but not a star seed, because star seeds are beings that are incarnated. Star seeds are star beings that are incarnated on Earth as humans. And another human cannot be your spirit guide, but a star being can be your spirit guide. So a being that's not from Earth, a being from another star system can definitely be your spirit guide. It's one of the 7 types of spirit guide that I talk about in my book. I have a whole chapter about it. All right, now let me look at the ask a question section, because there's lots of questions there as well. So Kenny says, I talk with my guides as a group. It would be nice to talk to each one separately. Or I guess what I'm trying to say is there a way to tell from each one of the energies we work with? Also, like separating them. Yes, there is. Over time, it's fine to talk to them as a group. They don't mind. Over time, just set the intention that you want to learn about like who they are individually. And over time, you will learn the differences. Like I said earlier, one will be their calling card will be like they touch your face. One of the others might touch your shoulder, and a third one you might feel because you get really cold, for example. And so just like keep practicing, and over time you will learn. Rosalind says, your book started a series of events for me. Have you heard of this happening to other readers? I've been on my path for a while, therefore I was a bit surprised. Some of the events matched yours, but prior to reading the chapter of mirroring yours from my past. Yes, definitely. Of course. I mean, that's the whole point why I wrote the book, because I want people to start like their journey with their spirit guides. So yes, I've definitely gotten lots of emails from people who through my book started their journey and things started happening. Absolutely. I can't tell you if they had the same experiences as you, because you don't really clarify what that is, but yes, absolutely. And as long as it's not anything negative, enjoy the journey and have fun. And then Samantha says, can magical creatures like unicorns and dragons be spirit guides? Yes, absolutely. So dragons and unicorns, usually classify them as nature spirits because they are very close to nature. Only they're not like, well, they can be both actually. They can either be like a nature spirit or an animal guide. And these 7 types of guides that I talk about in the book, really, I mean, that's a human system to explain things to others, to you guys. But maybe over time, my guides will show me a different category that I should add. Or sometimes there are guides that are like in between. For example, some of the Santeria and Voodoo spirits, like the Orishas, can sometimes be classified either as a deity or as ancestors, because in that tradition, some of the Orishas are said to have been on Earth as humans at some point. So some of them are in between. So yeah, it can be a nature spirit or an animal guide. So Deep says, I'm confused if my main guides are ETs or nature spirits. I got somewhat different answers the 2 times I took the test. I guess the quiz. Could you help me there? They seem to be very different in a way, so I'm not sure how to go about it. You probably have both, and you don't just have one main guide. You might have 2 or 3 main guides, and so you don't have to find out like which one is your main guide. They are probably both your main guides, and the more you can differentiate it more by really doing ceremonies that are geared towards, like, do one for your nature spirit, do that outside, use stuff that comes from nature in your ceremony, bring them an offering that has to do with nature. That's obviously something that doesn't destroy nature. Don't put any like plastic out there or whatever. And so gear your ceremony towards nature spirits so that they're basically comfortable to come and talk to you. And then do another ceremony that's more geared towards star beings / ETs / aliens. So that one you could do it at night under the stars, and like while you meditate, focus on the stars, and maybe wear something with stars on it. Or if you feel like connected to a certain star system, like let's say Sirius, then bring something into the ceremony that represents Sirius. And so then basically treat them like 2 different ones. And then over time, you will learn more about both of them. And they will give you more information about why they work with you, what you can do to work with them, etc. All right. Okay, Caesar asks, I've spent time meditating on my spirit guide. In your book, I tried asking aloud, but it's been hard to find out what can be done to improve. Keep practicing. It's just like playing the piano. You might really suck at it for, I don't know, 6 months. And then suddenly you're like, oh, now I totally get it. And my fingers are doing what I want. And it's the same with guides. Keep trying, keep practicing. That's really the only tip I can give you. All right. Lots of people anticipating that I was going to do readings and already type newbie in there. Here's a good question. Marilyn asks, are our spirit guides good by default? Do they have high vibration? Yes, they are good by default because they are your spirit guides. Like I said earlier, there are lots and lots of spirits out there, and some of them might not have your best intentions at heart. Some of them are just like ignorant, ignorant in the sense of like we walk around and might step on an ant without even realizing, and we don't mean any harm. We just didn't see the ant, and so we stepped on it and we killed it. And again, we might not want to do that, we might not mean to do that, but we did. And so some spirits out there are just not concerned with humans, so they might do stuff that's not great for us. And so the same thing, is with spirits, but our spirit guides are here to help us. What defines a spirit guide is that they are from the higher realms, so they are high vibrational and they are connected to us in unconditional love. That's what a spirit guide is. So in that sense, a spirit guide is always a good spirit, always. Nadine asks, might their name be something not in our language? Absolutely. Absolutely. It might be a sound. It might be something that's not a human name, like I said earlier. Absolutely. Okay, lots of questions I already answered. Daniel asks, during my ceremony, I had a strong sensation in my sinus. I have felt it again the following week. Is this the type of feeling I should be looking out for when connecting to my spirit guide? Yeah, that could be your calling card. Absolutely. Like I said earlier, it's different for everyone. You can't expect, like, for example, I oftentimes get really hot when I do readings when my spirit guide is close. Doesn't mean that the same is true for you. For you, it might be that you have this sensation in your sinus. So you really have to practice and see what is true for you, what happens for you, what your spirit guide makes you feel in that sense. And again, it's like your spirit guide comes into your space, into your energetic field, and that is being interpreted by our bodies in a certain way, and every body is different. So again, you could get really hot, you could get really cold, you might feel something in your sinus, you might, like, your toes might start tingling. It's different for everyone. And yet, the more often you practice, and if that same sensation happens again and again and again, then you know you're on the right path. Okay, and Andra wants to know, can our spirit guides be other person's spirit guides? No. Actually, that's not true. Sorry. That's not true. Because, for example, the archangels. Actually, let me rethink this. No, again, sorry. So your personal spirit guide is your personal spirit guide. But there are spirit guides that work with groups of people. So let's say Archangel Michael. Archangel Michael does not just work with one person. He works with like millions of people. And so in that sense, he's actually not your spirit guide, not your personal spirit guide, but he can still guide you. Just like, let's say if your mother has passed, then she can't be your spirit guide because she was here when you were here, and your guides, especially your main guides, have been with you from like the day you were born until the day you die. So if your mom is here in the 3D world, she can't be that guide. Makes sense, right? That doesn't mean that she can't be around and help you and be a guide in that sense, but she can't be your main guide. And so the same is true for Archangel Michael. He's not your main guide, but he can be your guide. I hope that makes sense. And here's a very common question. Tamara asks, when starting out, how do you make sure you are tuning into your spirit guide and not a negative spirit? it's similar to interacting with people. When you meet someone for the first time, you don't know. You can just go by your like own intuition. Again, that's why it's important to develop your intuition, because your intuition can tell you these things. But generally, you just go very slow. You build a relationship very slowly, just like you wouldn't just open the door to any random person that walks by. You don't invite random people into your house. You don't go to random people's house. And so you just start slowly. You don't, that's again, you don't ask them like the most important questions right away. You build a relationship over time. You might, if you make a new friend, you might meet up with them for coffee somewhere outside of your house before you ever let them into your house. And so it's the same with your guides. You start slowly and you build trust over time. Again, not every entity out there is going to be your friend. But that shouldn't let you, or yeah, that shouldn't intimidate you to the point that you completely close down and want nothing to do with the spirit world, because there might be spirits out there that don't have your best intention at heart. Just like you don't stay in the house your entire life just because there are people out there that are maybe not so nice. You still go outside and you just take some precautions. So you do like psychic protection before you do a spirit, before you do meditation or a ceremony. You cleanse your energy regularly. Best to do it at night before you go to bed, or when you like enter the house and you know you're not going to leave anymore. You kind of like visualize as if you're standing under a shower, only this is a shower of light, and you just let everything cleanse your energy so that nothing sticks to you that shouldn't be there. And then in the morning, you do psychic protection, and especially before you do a ceremony or something like this. And so you just take precautions, and then you go about your day, and you don't, you make sure that you are like high vibrational when you try to connect with your guides. And don't do it when you're like in a really like angry mood, because if you're like angry and like this, guess what, you attract other angry energies. And so it's similar to like, you don't go into like a bad neighborhood and hang out there to make new friends. You it's just not, there's like it's just common sense, these things, only we don't translate that to the spirit world, but you can. Just take precautions. Don't hang out like in bad neighborhoods. Don't meditate when you're in a negative mood. All of these things help to do that. All right, guys. It's like 20 minutes later. We went over time, and it's been like really fun to hang out with you guys as always. And yeah, if you want to book a spirit guide reading with me, you can do so by clicking like that green button here below. It says book a reading. And I've said this a few times. I will raise my prices soon. So if you're interested in getting a reading, do so now. You will have to wait a few months because I'm fully booked until September. That is not gonna, like, if you wait, it's probably the waiting time is probably going to be longer. So it's best really to do it now. And I really don't have any other space like slots before September. So please don't email me about that. People do not cancel. So there is no way that I can like fit you in earlier. You will just have to wait. So if you were interested, like click the link below, book a session, book a reading, and it will take you to the page where you can read more about it and then book if you're interested. And then also, if you want to learn more about spirit guides, you can also check out my master course. It's the recording of a live course I did a few years ago, and you can access that here. I'm putting the link in the chat. And then also don't forget, next weekend, not weekend, next Wednesday, May 26th, I will teach this workshop on how to develop your intuition and psychic abilities with the help of your guides. And you can get your tickets. Oops, hold on. Posting that link. Sorry. I'm going to post that link here as well in the chat. Here you go. That's for the workshop. And again, it's just 16 pounds, about 23 US dollars. I can't give you a payment plan because I'm not the organizer. It's Mind, Body, Spirit. It's the festival. You can also get a whole festival ticket. And then you can see all the other speakers and workshops and all that. And yes, there will be a recording. So if you can't make it live, don't worry, you can still do the workshop. All right, guys, thank you so much for coming. And also, yeah, you can stay connected with me on Instagram. Just search for my name or for the Spirit Guide Medium and you will find me, and say hello over there. All right, guys, have an awesome weekend. I'll see you next week or on Wednesday. Oh, I'm clicking the wrong